Do you think, though, that people are overusing the term OCD?
If I tell someone that, like, oh, I'm OCD too because I like to have my car clean. And it's like, bro, that's
That's just
not
organized.
that's not OCD. And you can't just act like an asshole in society just because you have a mental disorder.
Yes.
Like nobody
isolate
really cares.
Welcome to the AAA Mindset, the podcast where adversity isn't a setback, it's the setup. If life has challenged you and stepped on your confidence and forced you to pivot, you're in the right place. Here, we train the mind to face obstacles head on and turn them into fuel for growth, resilience, and success.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 11 of the AAA Mindset. My name's Abby McMaster. We are so excited for this episode because we're going to be talking about two things that we hear on a very common basis, ADHD and OCD. And the three of us are sitting here really understanding those things, right? Because, I obviously have ADHD, so does Anastasia, and Adam, obviously, and Adam has OCD. And it's something that we hear
all officially diagnosed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm self-diagnosed, but I just do for sure.
Okay.
But it is something that you hear a lot, in younger children. You hear that in adults and things like that. But it's like, let's really break it down and say, what does it mean? How does it affect people? And how can it actually become your superpower too? So we're going to talk about all things ADHD and OCD today.
Oh boy.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
When I was a kid, I always had I always did some weird shit. I always knew that some of my thoughts were not normal, but to me they were. So I remember when I was a kid, this is kind of when I first realized that I might have something, OCD, whatever you want to call it. I remember when I was in baseball as a little kid, and say some guy that sucked on my team touched my bat or touched me. I would literally have to go touch someone that was good to counterbalance the person that sucked from touching me, so I didn't strike out my next at bat. Little things like that. Like, people think because they want their house clean, or they, I'm so OCD because I'm a certain way with life. But real OCD is little, thoughts, we'll call them. And basically, say you have something, you can't step on a handicap sign because you feel like you're going to get handicapped. That was another thing for me when I was little. It really bothers you. You literally feel like you're going to have bad luck. You're going something really bad is going to happen to you if you don't counterbalance whatever thought you had that was bad.
Yeah. I even remember as his sister, and I was 6.5 years older than you,
Yeah.
But it was as far as we know baseball is one of those things where everyone has their things that they do in baseball, right? There's superstitions.
Baseball is a very superstitious sport.
And I will say, even as a baseball mom and a cheer mom, I'm superstitious for my own kids. If they're competing and they do great, I want to wear the same sweatshirt next time. Because I'm I
remember I wouldn't wash my socks.
That's what I was going to say.
I'd play 3 games, have nasty ass socks, but I crushed it all 3 games. Wearing the same socks.
Well, I remember you did.
Betty Gale loved that.
Well,
less laundry.
This is actually when I think my parents realized that there was, that there was more to it than just him having superstitions. He had a weekend of playing awesome, and my mom washed the socks, and he lost his mind.
Wow.
Lost his mind. And it was more than just I'm throwing a temper tantrum because I'm 12. It was genuinely panic attack because of that reason. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we found out pretty early. And then I got help with it when I was about 16. My parents had me see a therapist about it. And I remember they would make me do little things. I had a thing with handicap signs, which is weird because I was fucking handicapped. But weird.
Did you step on a sign?
I was wondering. Yeah, but little things like that, and they would have me go step on the sign to basically show you okay, you can step on a handicap sign and you're not gonna be handicapped. So they basically make you face your fears.
Yeah.
I had a thing with numbers, 3 5s. I still do it. 3, 5, 7s. And it's a lot of people have sequences with numbers. I remember when I was little, I used to have flat, turn the lights on 3 times, just little things like that, or just little rituals that you would do. To a normal person, they probably look insane, but to you, it's normal because it's what you have to do to ease your mind.
Do you think though that people are overusing the term OCD? Because like, you know,
100%.
am I OCD about, I don't know, certain little things in
Right.
my home? Sure. Does that mean I am OCD?
Right.
No. It just
Yeah,
means
you don't have these thoughts in your head that are so obsessive, and they're just like they're unrational thoughts, and like you honestly do know that. Like you know that like you're probably not going to be handicapped if you have to step on a handicap sign, but you just have this obsession and you can't get rid of it until you counter that obsession.
So how do you handle that now as an adult?
I know how to handle because I know what it is.
Yeah.
Like when I was young, I didn't really know what it was. You know, so now I know I can kind of separate my thoughts, OCD thoughts. So I go back to my thoughts when I'm having anxiety from OCD because
You recognize it.
you recognize
Okay.
it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
You just have to have self-awareness. And do I think people overuse the word OCD all the time? Because you'll be like,
Totally.
you know, if I tell someone that like, oh, I'm OCD too because I like to have my car clean.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, that's not
That's just organized.
That's not OCD. That's
You don't have crippling
you just
thoughts.
like your car clean.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you as a wife, how would you say, like, do you notice things that he does that you're like, oh yeah, yeah. So talk about that. Like as a wife living with him.
Yes.
Ooh, the secrets are coming out.
I know. I notice when you get into your OCD, I want to say like manic episodes is when you have panic towards something that is not that large of a deal. So like, for example, if Adam doesn't make a certain amount of money that day, he literally like has a little bit of a freak out moment where it's like, what do we got to do? We got to cut our cable. We got to cut our Wi-Fi, like cut our, you know, and then he just
no more prepping meals. We're having top ramen.
And so as a wife, I've learned how to recognize those things and just be like, babe, it's okay. So I think that's where we match each other really well because I can ground you that way. And then, you know, obviously we'll talk about how you help me with my ADHD.
Squirrel.
Yeah, squirrel. So yeah, let's talk about that because obviously we've got OCD and we have diagnosed ADHD. So what's like your journey? When did you find out that you had ADHD? When did you notice?
We notice every combo.
So George and Elaine, my parents.
George and Elaine.
Let's start there. Let's start with the source.
Let's
I think there's probably a lot.
Let's start with where this
there.
came from. I think this is a little genetic.
Genetic?
A lot of, very genetic.
You know, if you meet my dad, George Strompolis, you'll probably see some of those tendencies. But
great human.
Oh, he's the
honestly,
best.
Love him.
But such a brilliant man.
He is.
A brilliant daughter.
Hello.
Just kidding.
Hello.
So when I was in elementary school, no joke, my mom noticed that I was really having a hard time paying attention in class. Obviously, my teachers were saying something to my parents. And so my mom was like, let's come up with some tricks to help you stay focused, right? So being the art teacher that she is, she literally made her and my older brother made these signs for me to put on my desk. You know how you had your little individual desk with like the cubby in there in elementary school? And it was like a picture of like one of them was like a spider web and the other one was like one of those swirly things that you look into, like almost like an optical illusion. And it said on there, focus.
Focus. Like, look into my eyes.
Who needs Adderall?
And so that was like
You
my
know?
little reminder on my desk to put on
Hypnosis.
there that said focus. But instead of focusing on what I should have been focusing on, I was focusing on the sign.
Yes.
So that stemmed the problem, right? And then I didn't actually get fully diagnosed or like actual medical help until I was, I think, 14 or 15 years old. And I went to a physician. They had me fill out all these forms. There wasn't any like brain testing I had to do or anything like that, or like actual blood work or anything. It was more about like you fill out these forms with your parents, and if you fall into that category, you are officially diagnosed as ADHD. So as ADHD. So for me, it's basically the ability to like really hyper focus on something, but at the same time be having so many other thoughts in the background running, you know? And so it's just a lot. Like I will be, as I'm talking to you right now, like
she's probably going to forget what she's saying. Just get
there's
ready.
Thoughts that will creep into my head that I'm like, wait, don't forget to say that, or don't forget to do that, you know, like, and then it will totally derail my entire train of thought. It also is a problem when it comes to like listening to others. Sometimes I will look like I'm actively listening, but I'm not actively listening. I am actually like there on the outside shell, but my brain is over here in La La Land. And so a lot of times I'll end up repeating myself. So if you've noticed that on this podcast, that's probably why. So when I was 15, I ended up getting diagnosed and then immediately put on medication. That's the standard right now. So a couple of facts: ADHD affects about 8 to 10% of kids and 4 to 5% of adults, but the diagnosis has skyrocketed in the last decade. And I can definitely see that working in a pediatrics office and having, looking at that process of how kids are diagnosed, I believe that that is true. I believe that more people are starting to recognize, well, maybe my kid has ADHD, and then they fall into these categories based off of these things. And sometimes it's true, and sometimes I think it's overdiagnosed. But for me, I can tell you right now for a fact, when being on medication my entire adulthood, it definitely was something that helped me manage that. When I got pregnant, I was off medication. I had to get off my medication, and I have not been on my medication since 2021. There are times where I'm like, should I get back on that?
I have the same thoughts.
And then there are times where I'm like, okay, now in my adulthood, I recognize some of these things, and I really try to use my brain power to really channel it in. And I can do that when I put a lot of focus and effort into it to be a little bit more in control of that. But do I sometimes wish I had medication still to kind of keep me on track? Yes, I do. So that's kind of been my experience.
No, that's amazing. Adam, so as the husband,
I was waiting for this comment.
and this is so good. So as the husband, what do you notice as far as her ADHD, and how would you say it affects her?
Do we have time?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How does it affect her? Well, we'll have a conversation, and then she'll just immediately just stop what she's talking about. And then you're like,
mid-sentence.
Okay.
Continue.
Where are we going with this? That happens a lot.
Yeah.
She says, because she's trying to gather her thoughts. Love you.
As you just said,
As I say, wow, maybe I have ADHD too. Who knows? That's the biggest thing that I notice is when we have a conversation and then she just goes blank.
Yeah.
It's like we're having a full-blown combo, and then it's just it's like she blacks out.
Yeah.
And it's just see ya. And it's just reel you back in. Focus. You got this.
You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I am self-diagnosed ADHD, but I think my brother could attest to the fact that I am probably definitely ADHD.
I mean, I could see, but you're also such a driven person. I mean, not saying that doesn't you can't be ADHD. Yes. Okay. All right.
Am I
She's like, excuse me.
Maybe that's not the term to say.
Yeah. So really fully understanding the diagnosis.
I could see that.
Yes, I would. So I would,
especially with school.
With school, and that was the biggest thing for me, because I think for me in school, I would sit there in class and the teacher would be talking, but my brain was thinking about every other thing possible happening.
I had that too.
So I was never actually taking in what was happening, but yet I knew I was smart, if that makes sense. So even in front of an ACT, for instance, as I've mentioned, I got a 13 the first time, a 15 the second time.
That's impressive.
But that doesn't mean that I wasn't smart. It means I couldn't focus on a 4-hour test.
Well, I think one of my things is I think the school system, they have this curriculum, and if you aren't good at that curriculum,
100%.
then you're considered dumb.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yep.
Because all three of us sitting here, all think differently, and maybe we don't shine academically, but I think the society tries to convince you that you're dumb if you're not good at school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that couldn't be further from the truth, because I know people that are good at school, but they're complete idiots in real life.
In real life. Well, and so I think that's where I didn't know back then, because I think back then it was just ADD or ADHD, and you had to go through all this testing. And so I guess it probably wasn't as popular back then to do that. But I will say both my kids are on 504 plans, or Taylor was until now he's in college. He has been diagnosed ADHD.
What's 504 plans?
A 504 plan means in school, they basically sit down with you, and what your educational needs are, they meet those.
Yeah.
So Madison takes a test in another room.
Right.
Because if she's in a room with too many kids, then she is thinking about what they're doing and who's finishing up, and she's not focusing on her test.
Genetic.
It's genetic.
Let me interrupt you really quickly, because I think you brought up a good point. Is nowadays there's systems in place, which is I think why parents are recognizing these things, and they're saying, hey, my kid needs help.
Yes.
I was the epitome of that kid in high school and in college of I need help, but there were no tools for me.
Yes.
Until later on, and I went back towards my post-bac education, and I knew that I needed help. And so I got assisted a private room to take
Mhm.
tests in. Because any kid, like during a regular testing environment, if I heard some kid, like I remember this distinctly, I had one kid behind me, one student behind me drinking their water bottle and sipping their straw, and it was like the end of their drink, and it was like, and I was taking my test and I was so enraged. I could not
Yep.
get past the sound of like, this is killing my entire concentration. I can't get past this sound. And I just like ended up wasting all this time. And the next thing I know, it was like, okay, you have 2 minutes to finish up.
Yes.
And it was like, time is up. So I had extended test time later on in my post back. I had a private room that helped me a lot more. And guess what? Magically, my test scores went up
Well,
because
both-
I was able to
Yep.
have some of those tools to help me. I was also medicated, things
Mhm.
like that. And so I think, could I have been a better student earlier on? Yes. But nobody really had these 504 plans.
No.
Nobody really had these like extended test times, things like that. And so I think it's really important, like as parents, to like advocate for
Mhm.
your kids and be able to make sure that you get them the right tools so they can be successful in school. But I do agree with you, Adam, as well, that school is very like pigeonholed into like one type of student.
Right.
And I think that that's the problem as well.
And if you don't get your kids something like a 504, it's this way and it's just that way. And
Yeah.
so like my kids both had time and a half on tests. And it's amazing that the minute that we got those for both of them, their grades increased dramatically
Yeah.
because it was like they were finally letting them learn the way that they were supposed to be learning.
Yeah.
And so, but going back, even just with school for me, it made me always feel like I wasn't a good student when I just, like I said, even to this day, this morning, I'm doing like, my devotionals and all that. And I'm reading like my Bible part and my brain is thinking about 8,000 other things. And I have to remind it, focus.
Yeah. You
Like,
have to reread it.
I have
5
to
times.
reread it to make myself
Yeah.
focus. Or
Yeah.
my worst part is when I meet somebody, this is what I know as an adult, I'm the worst
Names?
at. Names.
Yep, I'm the
Somebody
same way.
tells
Yeah.
me their name and I've been thinking of 15 other things we're going to talk about and I don't catch their name.
Yeah.
And so
And then you're too late into the conversation to ask their name again, so you feel like an asshole.
so then I have to go to
Yeah.
Eric and I'm like, hey, go find out what their name is
sure.
because they told me and
I'm like, hey, go introduce yourself. to that
literally
person.
have because I'm already thinking of where else the conversation should be going.
Right.
So maybe it's true that some people have ADHD tendencies or ADD tendencies or OCD
Mhm.
tendencies, but they're not in that full diagnosis. As well,
Yes.
because forgetting names is a common thing.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Right.
people forget names. All
And I
the
think a
time.
lot of people
Or-
just do that a lot. They're like, oh, ADD.
yeah.
They're just always throwing out a diagnosis to explain their actions.
So
Yeah.
that brings me to my next question: is how do people use their disorders as a crutch?
Yeah. So as a crutch, I think, especially people when they're trying to be an entrepreneur or, do something big with goals in their life, they can use it as an excuse. Well, I couldn't do that because I have ADHD or I can't do something outside of the norm because I'm OCD.
Right.
And it's like, no, you can. I mean, Adam is 100% OCD, right?
Mhm.
Love you, but you
100%.
are 100%. And guess what? He's had to learn how to navigate through that to get where he wants to go. He could have used it as a crutch to not be successful because I can't do things outside of what I know to do. But instead, he started to retrain what his OCDs, like OCD in your industry is amazing.
Oh,
Actually,
it's the ultimate weapon.
It's amazing.
I mean, when I found bodybuilding, I was like,
Done.
this is exactly what I need. Like,
Meant to be.
Why?
basically, the more obsessed you are, the better you get.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Perfect.
I can win that game all day long. Like, that's just how my brain works. That's why when I found bodybuilding, I was like, this is it. This
Yes.
is what I'm meant to do. Because being obsessive in bodybuilding is an advantage.
Absolutely.
Which is why you're able to train clients at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Correct.
every night, and because it's the same thing.
It's a
every day.
routine.
That's it.
And we just started this 8-week challenge with our clients, and Adam's doing it along with our clients. And yesterday, before we went to bed, I remember him distinctly saying, "Today was a perfect day. I checked all of my boxes." And if he did not check all of those boxes, what would you have felt like?
Of failure.
And anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I commit to something, again, that's why I was a good bodybuilder. Like I have to be perfect at it in every way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it like internally drives me insane. Like she said, like if I have a day where I make shitty money, like it literally bothers me. Like I could have made $3,000 the day before, and if I made $200 that day, I'm like, I'm a failure.
It's all
Right.
going down.
We're going
Right.
broke.
It's to sell the
Gotta
house, put
get
the sign
yep,
in the yard.
Put the sign
Yeah.
in the yard.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Well, and I think, in going back to like ADHD and kind of like, somebody who wants
it
to
a
be an
crutch or-
entrepreneur. Yeah, the crutch thing. I do think that they can because they say, well, I just can't focus. Or they're scared to get outside their comfort zone because if they're, dealing
They've
with
already
OCD,
written their story.
they've
for
already written their
themselves.
story from
Yeah.
it. And
You're
so
already putting a ceiling on yourself.
I truly believe like it can be a big crutch if you want to let it be, but I think so can everything, but it also can be your superpower.
Yeah,
100%.
that's very true. It's like, so what traits of ADHD and OCD would actually be considered elite if they showed up in a high performer? And that
Because-
kind of goes back to
Yeah.
you.
Because I mean, again, like I don't even think about it. Like when my alarm goes off at 5 o'clock, I wake up, check all my boxes because I would have more anxiety by not checking the boxes
Mhm.
than by me doing everything and checking the boxes.
So
Yep.
what trait is that?
I mean, being
OCD?
obsessive. I think OCD.
OCD.
Like that's a trait of
In general.
OCD.
What other traits though make that a higher,
Like
or you as more of an elite performer?
I think, just being like doing the same things every day and being okay with that. Like, I think that makes people progress faster in most things in life.
That's a good
Like,
response.
I have no problem eating the same foods every day as long as it's going to get me to my goal. I don't care how it tastes. That's not a problem for me. Again, most people do, but that's where my crazy head is. Like, I don't care what I have to do as long as it gets me to where I want to be.
Yeah.
So that trait of the Groundhog Day.
Yes,
Right?
the
Like
OCD.
that is
Every
comfortable for
day.
me.
Yeah.
Like not knowing what I'm gonna do or uncertainty is that makes me have anxiety.
Which
Yeah.
is funny because like ADHD is kind of tends to be on the opposite side of the spectrum. Wouldn't you
Yes.
agree,
Oh,
Abby?
yeah.
Is that like when you're doing the same thing all the time, it's like,
Makes you crazy.
yeah, you're like, I need to mix it up. I need to do
I
something
gotta change.
different. Yeah.
Well, I think for ADHD, I know for myself specifically, is my brain's going so fast all the time that when I think about something, I just do it. Like I don't have time to think about, I don't even care about what the outcome is. I just do it. And I think that's why I've had success is because I just do it. And if it doesn't work, I do something else. If that doesn't work, I do something else. And I don't quit. I just know that I got to just keep doing different things.
Yeah. And I think that I can relate to that too, because as you know from my story, I've jumped in headfirst into a lot of things like, I'm going to just go try to get into PA school, or I'm just going to go live in
grow
Brazil.
weed.
Start growing weed.
Start growing weed. You never
Screw
know,
it.
right? I'm going to, switch up my career or whatever. And I think that ADHD portion of my brain just says, screw it, let's go for it. And that can be an actual thing that drives me to be more elite than not. So I can kind of channel that to be like, I don't have that fear that most people do when they start something new, if you're a failure. I'm just like, let's go and see what happens.
Cool.
I feel like I can be like that too, but I also think OCD, you want to stay in what's comfortable in a way, as long as it's working towards your goal. And I think it allows you to marinate in things longer than someone usually would because you like that comfortable consistency.
But once you get that, then you're nonstop. Then you're like game
100%.
on because you feel comfortable in that area.
Correct.
I think a commonality between the both of those disorders though are really just being able to like almost hyper focus on it, right? So that we have obviously the hyper focus from ADHD, but the OCD part is the obsession. Right. And so for me with bodybuilding, even though, I have that tendency to want to switch things up and do things like that, but once I switch my brain to focusing on something that I want to go after, then that obsession comes in and that hyper focus comes in where I'm like locked in and it's like, okay, let's go. So.
Yeah, I think with both, you just have to find a way to make it work in your advantage.
Right.
And so if you're watching this right now and you're like, okay, well, I've got big goals, but I know I have this, or I know I have that. Okay, how can you use it to your advantage? Like stop using it as a crutch for why you can't do things and instead turn it around and decide that you're going to use it to your advantage because both things actually are an advantage to you. Like there's many things like chicken breast right now. I was just telling him makes me want to vomit. I don't know why, but chicken breast. And he's like, I don't really like it either, but I'm just going to eat it.
Yeah.
Because I know
I have a goal right now. And
he's
I
got a
know
goal.
that's what it takes to get there.
And I should plug my nose and just eat the chicken breast.
And then you just get obsessed with
Can I
that.
have chicken thighs?
No, because there's too much fat.
Oh, fine.
It's
I'll
not
go back
the
to the
same.
breast.
But you can have other lean protein.
I can.
Remember, you
A
can
ground chicken.
switch.
I can have ground chicken.
can
No,
have ground
ground chicken's actually made with more chicken thigh and like,
That's why it's good.
yeah, and like the other pieces that are fattier.
Mm.
But
How about 96.4 beef?
Well, then you're still
That's
gonna
a
you're,
little better,
You're still,
but-
that's not chicken.
but
Though.
I'm
here's
having
what
the
I would
chicken
do.
breast.
And you can't eat chicken. You can't go eat beef every
Lean
meal.
proteins,
Too
right?
much
Chicken
red meat.
breast, 99% lean turkey, Lean
Oh, I like that.
Lean deli turkey or
Yes.
lean chicken breast.
Now we've
deli
moved to
turkey.
a nutrition.
Or you can do this is a little
ADHD.
plug, right?
Yeah, here you go. Here's a perfect example.
Or
Look at my
you could
ADHD,
do
and
any
now here
seafood
we
or
are.
whitefish.
Okay,
Right? So it'd be like poke.
Okay.
Or if you like shrimp, you grill shrimp.
Okay. See, I can do it.
Options.
I'm going to do
Got
other
options.
options.
Got options.
See, you guys just got also tips for being healthy.
So, well, I have to explore these things obviously for my clients, but because I'm the same way, like
Yes.
I need to have that a little bit of that variety and know that I can kind of switch some things up here and there versus like, because I get those food aversions as well too. Okay. So let's go back to the mental health awareness part of this is like, at what point does mental health awareness turn into self-handicapping?
I think when you're constantly trying to basically make excuses for your actions through your quote unquote disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember there was a person in my life that would constantly say that they were ADHD and they would act like a freaking psycho. And they would blame autism as well.
Wait, who?
That they were we won't go there.
We need to turn off the cameras.
And they were blaming their actions because they had a lot of issues in their life, and everything that they did was because they were ADHD and autistic.
Yes.
It wasn't,
Yeah.
I have these actions and that's the issue. It's no, my actions are because of my disorder.
Well, and
that's
I
a
feel
problem.
like since 2020's COVID time and this cancel culture that's been coming up, like so many people are like, well, I need mental health day to take a mental health day. Like my grandfather is rolling in his grave right now hearing that. Because he's like, you don't freaking take a mental health day. You suck it up
and get going.
Like, but that's just because our society is soft now. I think that people, again, are using these mental disorders
as a handicap
and self-diagnosed mental disorders as a handicap to not work hard because they just immediately put that ceiling over themselves. Well, I have this disorder, so I can only go so far.
Yeah. No, and it's, I mean, I have anxiety. I take an anxiety medicine.
I have anxiety too.
Yeah.
Thank you, John Young.
Thank you, John Young. It's true.
It is true.
But I do. And my son has anxiety and I've seen it with him for many, many years. And so for me, it's like, you just have to get it, like, understand the truth. Like what you're feeling right now is anxiety, right? And how do you work through that? It's not like, let me just quit what I'm doing for the rest of my life because I'm having anxiety, right? Like anxiety is going to happen in life. You just have to learn how to work through it. And like what I always say when I start to feel like that is I'll go for like a walk. Like I'll go for a walk, I'll put in a podcast or put on an audiobook or something, just like get my brain back into the right place. But people use it as a coping mechanism.
100%.
And anxiety is anxiety. Like it is.
And you can't just act like an asshole in society just because you have a mental disorder.
Yes.
Like,
or you can't.
Nobody really cares.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
You can't isolate and be like, well, this is an excuse for me to have this, hamster with me at all times or whatever, like it just gets to be a little bit ridiculous. And I think that, because I do think in society, it's a good thing to have more mental health awareness. I'm glad that we're bringing that to the forefront nowadays
because it is a
lot of things, especially with a lot of like school shootings and things like that are becoming more and more prominent. Is it a mental health issue?
Well, yes.
Yes.
That's obviously, right? And so really helping kids have more access to assessing these things and helping them with tools on how to cope is really important. But it can get a very fine line where it's like you can cope with it, but does not mean that you make it a handicap or a crutch or that you use it as an excuse to why your behavior is crap.
Yes.
Like that's not okay.
Well, I love that too. And I know we're kind of going on like a different tangent right now.
Sorry.
No, but I like it.
Because
I do think, even having children or yourself, I know this is kind of going down an anxiety topic, but I think it all kind of goes together. I've learned that if you will just talk about it when you're starting to have those feelings, or maybe you're having obsessive thoughts or you know that your ADHD is out of control or you're suffering from anxiety, like communicating how you're feeling, because usually if you'll just get it out to somebody who you can trust, like they can help you, like all of a sudden you start to feel better because you got it out, but they can help you with how to cope with that. I know for my son, since he was little, when could tell he had anxiety, I would make him put his phone away completely. And we would go to a quiet room and we would sit on the floor, and it could be 3 hours, but we did not get off the floor until he shared with me exactly what was going through his brain. And that has helped him so much. I mean, at 18 years old, and I was like, sit your butt down. You're not moving until you tell me everything that's going through your head right now. And it's helped him so much. And so I think a lot of times we're in the society where our phones are with us all the time, constantly. And so going back to like, maybe you don't need a mental health day. Maybe you need to just put your phone down for a second and stop being so overstimulated and start communicating and communicate what you're feeling. I think that's so important. But, Yeah, I think as parents, if you have kids who you know are suffering from anxiety, rather than just medicating them, and of course that's up to you if you want to. I'm medicated, so what can I say? I know I needed to be, but talk to your kids. Like take that time to like actually figure out what is causing that anxiety in their life, because that can make a huge difference.
For sure. And I think a lot of kids are probably afraid to express that because they don't want to come off as weak or weird or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I experienced that,
Mhm.
you know.
I think for just kind of going off of while you were talking, my ADHD tendencies wanted to naturally interrupt.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's,
I
and
do
let me,
that.
let me tell you, that's one of our biggest issues.
I do that all the time.
I forgot that. That is one of her biggest issues. I can't get a sentence out without my wife interrupting me normally. She bites her tongue on this podcast, let me tell you.
So I wanted to, you're going to make me lose my train of thought.
See?
I wanted to interrupt in saying that it's not just about using these things as like a crutch, and it's more about like expression and communicating what you're going through and not feeling discouraged, like you're going to look like a weak person.
But I feel like that's easier said than done. Like
Right,
I don't think people are just going to like publicly be like, I'm OCD and this is why I do weird.
Yeah. It comes from like self-awareness, right? Like some people just don't have that much self-awareness. So like really tapping in and doing like self-reflection, really, that's why I like where you get up in the morning and you really like try to set the tone for your day and let you just like sit with your thoughts, because it allows you to not look at your phone first thing and somebody else is driving your thoughts versus like you're looking at your thoughts and saying like, okay, who am I? Who do I want to be? And you start channeling that energy versus like letting somebody else dictate that. So that's huge. And then I think another thought I had while you were talking was talking about the medication. Is the medication can be a big stigma as well, in terms of like, oh, now I have to take medication. I feel like, this is now a crutch or whatever. My mom said to me when I was first diagnosed and had to get on medication was, if you go to the store or you go to the doctor and you can't see and you need glasses, are you going to necessarily like not wear glasses and just bump into things because you don't want to be like labeled as, a nerd or something like that? And the answer is no. When you need something, you have to utilize those tools to be able to get that. And that's kind of when she put it in perspective. I didn't look at like the medication as like a bandage. I looked at it as something that I needed to help me get through those years of really understanding my brain and figuring it out. And now that I'm older, could I use medication? Yes, probably. But now I'm recognizing more of those things and I can try to channel my, my focus a little bit better. And that's where I'm headed with this whole idea of medication.
No, it's so true. I said that one time to somebody who was talking to me about should they get on medication or not. And I said, it's no different than if somebody's diabetic and they need insulin. Like I have a serotonin imbalance in my brain. I cannot help that. It's just a genetic thing. And so if there's a little pill that I can take every day that makes me feel the way I know I should be feeling, why would I not do that?
Right.
I agree.
Exactly.
So
I think that's pretty much it for this episode. Is there any other final thoughts you guys want to say about ADHD
Did you
or
guys
OCD?
forget?
I actually 4 things just went through my brain. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I would just say, understand everyone's individual, right? And there are so many billionaires out there that would probably have OCD and ADHD. So stop letting it be your excuse for not doing things and instead let it be your excuse to go out there and like use it as, like we said before, your superpower, because it can be. And so just remove the excuses and realize, go on ChatGPT and look up every entrepreneur out there who has either OCD and ADHD.
But there's a list.
I can guarantee you there's a list. And so realize that they used it as their superpower, not their excuse. So it's up to you.
100%. Thank you so much. Join us for next week's episode, and we are going to be talking about mental toughness.